Hey guys, Davey here from PhoneBuff.com. In this video I want to talk about how the Galaxy S lineup has changed over the years, starting with the original Galaxy S to the Galaxy S2 and now the Galaxy S3. Just want to talk about the hardware a little and also the software. So on the left with the Galaxy S, the original, it's actually the T-Mobile variant, the US version. It has a 4-inch screen going diagonally. It was 800 by 480 in resolution, Super AMOLED of course. You have the 4 capacitive touch buttons at the bottom. And on the back you have a 5 megapixel camera. This particular variant didn't have a front facing camera, but for the ones that did, it was a VGA camera. The Galaxy S2, in this case Sprint's Epic 4G Touch variant, had a bigger screen. As you can see, it's noticeably bigger at 4.5 inches. Some variants were 4.3 inches, but this guy was 800 by 480, so the same resolution, but the difference was this guy is Super AMOLED Plus, so the sub-pixel layout is a little bit different. There weren't shared sub-pixels, giving you a little bit better quality than you'd get over here. And you can see you have the same 4 capacitive touch buttons as you did on the original Galaxy S. For the US version, again, the international version had a physical home button with the capacitive buttons on the sides. And the back has a 8 megapixel camera, and on the front you actually have a 2 megapixel front facing shooter on this guy. So pretty impressive, improvement from the original. And then now we have the Galaxy S3, which obviously, from the screen department, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. This is a 4.8 inch display, but the difference between this and the last two is the resolution has finally been kicked up to 1280 by 720. Now, the screen type is Super AMOLED like it is on the original Galaxy S, so it's not Super AMOLED Plus, but with the higher resolution, it really does make up for that shared sub-pixel layout. So definitely, obviously, the better screen is on the Galaxy S3. Now, what's interesting is on the US versions, on the bottom, you have only 2 capacitive touch buttons, kind of like the international versions were for the S1 and S2, with the physical home button here at the center. And on the back, you have an 8 megapixel camera, similar to the one found on the Galaxy S2. So not that big of a increase or improvement from the Galaxy S2. On the front-facing camera is 1.9 megapixels, basically around the same as it was on the Galaxy S2 again. Obviously, the quality difference can be a little bit different because there are different lenses, but as far as the megapixel count, they're pretty much the same. Let's go ahead and compare the phones side by side. You can see all three had the power button at the right. Obviously, the spacing is a little bit different, but for the most part, close to the right thumb, so you could turn on the screen easily. At the top, all three of them had the 3.5mm headphone jack. Over here on the Galaxy S1 and S2, Galaxy S3, they flipped it over to this side. The charging port is actually at the top for the S1, where on the S2 and S3, they're at the bottom. And on the left side, you had the volume rocker for all three versions. And you can kind of see the thickness. Pretty much it's gotten thinner over the years. There wasn't a dramatic difference between the S1 and the S2. However, the S3 is noticeably thinner than both of these guys. And obviously, with it being this much bigger, that's definitely a good thing because it does make it much more pocketable. So that's the outside look at it. On the inside, you had a 1 gigahertz processor on the original Galaxy S, and this is for the international version and the version that came in the States. It was a 1 gigahertz processor. It's a Hummingbird processor. On the S2, you had a little bit of differences. Now, the international version had the Exynos 1.2 gigahertz processor, which actually the Sprint version did as well. But some US variants had the Qualcomm Snapdragon S3 processor, clocked that a little bit higher at 1.5 gigahertz. So that's the difference there. The S3 has, all US version had the Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 processor at 1.5 gigahertz, but the international version had the Exynos processor like this guy, but it was a quad core, obviously at 1.4 gigahertz. So a little bit slower frequency, but of course you have 4 cores. Major difference between the Galaxy S3 in the US and the international version is this guy has 2 gigabytes of RAM, this guy has 1 gigabyte of RAM, and this guy only has 512. So basically, if you think about it, as far as the US versions, the RAM has doubled every single time with every new Galaxy S. So pretty impressive. I mean, if you really think about it, doubling the RAM every single time. And the processors, not necessarily doubled. From here to here, it was doubled. But from here to here, wasn't really double, but definitely a dramatic increase or improvement on the S3. I do like it a lot, and considering it is pushing a high resolution screen, definitely needed that processing power. But anyways, that's pretty much it for the hardware. Let's go ahead and talk about the software, see how TouchWiz has actually changed. TouchWiz on the original Galaxy S, was very simple. You had the black background over here. You could scroll to the right and left. once you scroll all the way to the right, you're pretty much stuck. And you have 3 apps right here that you could customize. Got the notification bar, just 4 little toggles that you could turn on and off, and just an all gray notification shade. So that's pretty much it. When you press the menu, you had, you know, these typical little options and go into the settings and it looks like this. So that's the way the TouchWiz looked on the Galaxy S, the original. On the Galaxy S2, TouchWiz looks a little bit different. The background is now clear, so you could actually scroll through your apps and not have to look at a background. They also got rid of the little, the applications used to have a little square border around them, like over here. All the little apps had square borders. They got rid of them over here, which I definitely prefer because it looks a lot cleaner. And now you have the scrolling motion, which you can scroll like that. I'm not sure if this one had it. Yeah, I don't think it did, but so you have that scrolling motion with TouchWiz 4.0. Now when you press menu, obviously with it having ice cream sandwich, it looks like this instead of the little 6 icons over here. So it definitely looks a lot cleaner. The notification bar looks a little bit better. You have more toggles now. You have 5 toggles instead of just 4 like you did over here, and you know, makes it a little bit easier to access what you're looking for. And on the S3, you know, it's probably obviously my favorite version of TouchWiz. Now on the app dock, you have 4 apps that are customizable versus 3, and that's thanks to the higher resolution screen. The notification bar, you've got, not only do you have 5 toggles right here, but you know, you can actually scroll over and you have an extra 4. So you have 9 total toggles that you can turn on and off. Much more control at your hands. You can press the setting button here to go straight to the settings. Of course, that's an ICS type option. The app drawer looks pretty much the same. It is see-through, but now you can scroll all the way through instead of getting stuck at the end. Widgets are available right here as well. So, you know, it follows kind of the theme of ice cream sandwich, but with Samsung's TouchWiz Touch on top of it. So that's pretty much how it looks. You know, the settings here. Obviously, there's a lot of changes, you know, that happened in the software versions. Over here, just basic software. They introduced motion controls on the Galaxy S2, and they took it to the next level with the Galaxy S3 with features like Smart Stay, where the camcorder or the camera on the front detects your eyes to see, you know, whether or not you're looking at it, to determine whether or not to turn off the screen, and a whole bunch of other features. But anyway, I just wanted to do a quick, you know, talk about it. I mean, you know, it's really nice to be able to look back at technology and see how it's progressed over time. Kind of gives you an idea as far as, I know it's kind of early, but what the, you know, next Galaxy S will look like, the S4. You know, what kind of we'll probably see a quad-core processor for sure, and you know, who knows how much RAM they'll put in and what kind of screens we'll see. But anyway, just wanted to do this quick video for all you, you know, Android fans like me, all you Galaxy S fans like me. You know, I've owned every single one of them since they've come out, and definitely have loved them, and you know, definitely love the improvements. I feel like Samsung really, you know, is the flagship manufacturer for Android, because not only do they make the Nexus phones, but their Galaxy S lineup is the best selling Android phones out. So anyway, that's it for me in this video. If you found it, you know, helpful, or if you liked it, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.